I mean, Will is arguably the funniest person on the planet. He had an idea and it revolved around DJs. Talked about it, didn't work. 2 years later, he calls me back again and they say, oh, we're doing this thing. We want you to hop out with the music. And so we were trying to find somebody to open up for this best night of your life thing that would be like a showstopper, right? I don't know who said it first, but it was in a round table conversation. And they were like, why don't we get Snoop Dogg to do something? And I said, can we do a mashup of like Gin and Juice and Boats and Hoes? Next thing I know, I'm like at a sound check with Snoop Dogg and John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell.
That is incredible, dude.
Well, all right. Battle raps cause I've shaken grown men to the point that they can't even face their own friends. That's why they rhyme about jewels, not life, cause the ice on which they skating is so...
Welcome back to the Party with Strategy podcast. Very, very, very special guests in the building. This is a big pod right here. I'm super excited. We got Chicago DJ legend, Grammy award-winning producer, theme song smith, metaphor maker, culture curator, waveform wizard, the acoustic arranger, the accolade accumulator, ladies and gentlemen, DJ White Shadow, aka Paul Blair. How you feeling?
I'm good, man. That's the first time anybody's called me any of those adjectives.
Were they fitting though?
Yeah, I mean, sure, man. A couple of them might have been a stretch, but I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us, man. I mean, you got quite the sheet of accolades and accomplishments, and I mean, I can remember starting to DJ in the city, and Architect sort of brought me up, and
sure.
and Jem sort of brought him up, and
sure.
Jem said you brought him up, so. Yep. We're sort of part of the same DJ family tree.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of folklore around White Shadow, right? Like OG stories. And I wanted to just start off by asking how true some of these are.
Yeah, fire away.
So I heard that.
Don't give me any trouble. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I heard that one time you were a little upset with management or somebody telling you what to do while you were DJing, and you decided to turn the trims all the way up on the mixer and blow the speakers. True or no? True or false?
No, that's false.
False?
That's false.
Okay.
That's false. I wouldn't have done that.
Okay.
Also, like, are we talking about a club or a bar?
I'm not sure
what it was at the time. I think that's false.
Okay. How about one time I heard you were upset with management and you put bubble gum in the crossfader?
No, that's false too.
Wow. Okay.
The only time I've ever done anything destructive in a DJ booth, this is a come clean moment for me. I was on tour. There was a tour. It was the first EDM based festival tour. It was called Identity Fest, and it was like a 33 city festival that went everywhere. It was like in Boston and in Tampa, Florida, or whatever. There was huge people, Chucky, Skrillex. There was a big bunch of people, and the new Pioneer 900 had come out, right? So whatever year that was.
Yeah.
And I was the only person DJing with turntables. Everybody else was on CDJs, and for some reason, the Serato would not work with the 900. So I'd start playing a set, and 10 minutes later, the whole thing would shut down, like somebody shut a light switch off on it. And it was sponsored by Pioneer. The whole festival was sponsored by Pioneer. And so I said, listen, man, get me an older Pioneer mixer. I don't care if it's a Pioneer 101, any mixer but this mixer, because they obviously haven't worked out the kink in it yet. And they're like, you have to DJ on this mixer. And I was like, you have to fix this if you want me to DJ on the mixer. And so they said, we're going to have it fixed by the next night. We promise it's going to be fixed. We're shipping it in. And I was in Boston, and it was I was like outside of Boston, and it was this beautiful space in the middle of the trees. I was playing techno. There was 1,000 people there, like, right at the beginning, like it was jamming. And the goddamn mixer cut out on me. And I picked that thing up and I chucked it so far. I ripped the cords out of the back of it and I threw it over my head into the forest. And that's the only time I've ever, but it was like 8 times before that it cut off. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And it was like a mechanic problem. Like the one dude that they had hired to like make sure everything was good was like old rusty trombone that was like 98 years old. You know what I mean? That thought he knew everything about everything. And every time he came up, he was like, "It's working fine. Look at it. It's going great." And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, because we've been here for 10 minutes. Sometimes it cuts out in 5 minutes. Sometimes it cuts out in 30 and whatever." But like, dude, that was so frustrating because I was out on the, you know what I mean? You're out on the road every night. You got a set, like you're there. There's people there. It's like, you know, there's nothing worse than the music going off when you're DJing. Literally, I'd rather be in a fucking gunfight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're
Than
just
have
up
music
there,
go off
everyone's
when I'm
looking
DJing.
at
Yeah.
you.
I know
You don't
what's
know what
going
to
on in a
do.
gunfight.
Yeah.
When the music goes off when you're DJing and you don't know what the fuck's going on, it's the worst feeling of all time because you got 1,000 people that were just jamming, looking at you like you got a fucking dick in your eye, and you know what I mean? It's a disaster.
Yeah.
So that's the only time I've ever done anything like that was destructive.
Yeah.
I have a pretty high respect level for people's shit. And there's been a lot of management that I didn't like. That's for sure.
Yeah.
One in particular, which I'm sure you guys can gather who that is. But like, you know, I would not even that would cause me to cause any kind of destruction to something.
All right. Well, I'm glad I got the truth.
Yeah.
Because you were, you know, that this was the picture painted for me, and like, obviously not in a bad way. It wasn't like, oh, this guy's an asshole. It was like, yo, this guy's a fucking rock star.
Yeah, well,
you know what I mean?
I thought you were going to ask me about some real rock star shit, but you didn't even get into any of that. So if you I definitely did some rock star shit, but yeah.
Well, I got one more lore that I want to know is true or false, and it's kind of a rude question, to be honest, so forgive me for that. But it was told to me, like, you obviously DJ'd in Chicago, took over the scene, and then you moved to LA. And the story of you linking up with Gaga was that you were playing at the Dime, which is this tiny little spot.
Yeah.
And you were playing cool shit, and she was in there, and she liked what she heard, and she asked you if you produce music, and you said yes, but really it was no.
No, so that's not true at all. I made my first record when I was 17 years old.
Okay, it's all false. Everything I thought is just
but no,
a lie.
but you're close. This one at least has some sort of. This one has some sort of wall behind it. So I never moved to LA. I was in Chicago, and every club was hiring all these DJs from LA. And they were paying. I mean, I got paid pretty well, but like they were paying these dudes that nobody ever heard in their life. Like a grip, 2 times, 3 times what I was getting paid. And I'm like, 50% of the time, the guy's wrangling me back in, like, get this guy off and close it out. I'm like, you just paid this motherfucker $6,000. I'm not getting him off. Give me the extra $4,000 and I'll take him off. You know what I'm saying? So it just one day registered me that all these dudes are getting hired because they're from LA. Not because they're good DJs. Nobody knew it was. So I said, I'm just telling everybody I'm moving to LA. So I went. So I went and to LA every Monday or Tuesday, and then I would DJ in LA Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then I'd come back to Chicago and DJ Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and or Saturday and Monday. I'd stay on Sunday, and yeah, my fees went up like 20 times, dude. Everybody in Kansas City and Milwaukee and Iowa, like, oh, we got this guy from LA. And like, I charged him triple what I charged him when I was from Chicago. And I was in LA 3 days a week. I was sleeping on Stone Rock's couch 4 days a week.
That's amazing.
Watching his cat. But like, the story you're talking about, it was Hyde. So on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I was playing all these SBE venues. There's a girl named Jen Rosario who was like kind of managing the venues for SBE. And she heard me opening all the time for all these guys. And I was just trying to be out there. Like, you know, so-and-so ran into Britney Spears at the club or Robert De Niro was at the club or whoever, you know. And then that showed up in Us Weekly, and then somebody got booked because Robert De Niro just happened to show up at the club. But that happened all the time in LA, and that's how people were booking DJs. So anyway, that was happening. But at the same time, this girl, Jen, was like, oh, you're a really dope DJ. And I was like, yeah, I fucking know I'm a dope DJ. I'm awesome at this shit. And so she was like, do you want your own night? And I was like, yes, but I don't want to do it at any of these clubs. I want to do it somewhere I can just do whatever I want. And so they put me at Hyde. So it was at Hyde, which the Dime is cool. It was cool. The Dime was a little bit more rustic. Hyde was like about the same size, but it was super VIP stuff. Like it was like there every night, you know, it was like Tom Cruise and David Beckham were like in there, or like, you know, every night, dude, like Mickey Rourke, like sitting in the booth, and then it's like Axl Rose and 6 other weirdos where you're just like, how the fuck did these guys all end up at the same place at the same time? But it was always something crazy. And so it wasn't Gaga that showed up. It was a creative director, Matt Williams, who Matt just left the head of Balenciaga. He was did I say that right? Balenciaga? Givenchy. He's the head of Givenchy. Sorry. I'm wearing a fucking Field and Stream hat. I don't know shit. So Matt, who's like one of the greatest characters of all time, walked in and said, hey, this is dope. What is this? Because I was playing like old Chicago house that like nobody in LA played. I was playing like some crazy Detroit like techno shit that nobody ever, like real funky, like, you know, minimal like house stuff. And then I would play like all hip hop, but like no new hip hop. So it was like danceable hip hop shit, like Roller Skating Jam Called Saturdays, you know, by De La Soul, or Kiss Me I'll Kiss You Back, like that kind of stuff where people were like partying, but it wasn't like DMX party up shit or whatever. So anyway, it was like an unusual mix of stuff. The real story is that Gaga couldn't hold a tour down by herself. And so they were putting her on tour with Kanye West. Her first stadium tour was supposed to be with Kanye. And they were looking for somebody to make the interludes from hip hop to house, like dance stuff, because Gaga was all dance, Ye was all hip hop. Matt was like, this is exactly the mix that we want people to do. We've been trying to find somebody to do this. Will you do it? So that it wasn't even me making beats for her at first. It was me doing a mixtape for the interludes for a show. So then they called me back and they were like, these are perfect. We paid somebody already to do it, but can we use yours instead? And I was like, I don't give a shit, man. Use them, whatever. So they used them, and he was like, I'm gonna get at you when she starts making another album, and I'm gonna call you if you can submit beats with all the other producers and blah blah. And I was like, great. And I had just done a 3-deal record with Atlantic, so I did some remixes for Estelle and a couple other artists, and I was doing those at the time. And then I was already working on like that kind of stuff, and yeah, rest is whatever.
It's amazing.
She took the beats, and here we are.
Well, thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah.
We got the real story from the man himself.
Yeah, that is the true story.
Yeah, that's
on
amazing.
All 3 accounts. I wonder who's spreading rumors about sticking bubble gum and shit.
It was just so cool. It was so cool because you're
well,
this.
I'm sorry to disappoint you. Yeah. My bad.
I'm this like 20-year-old kid that's never been to a club before, and now I'm in one because I'm DJing or like starting to DJ, or I know, you know, this DJ brought me in to like watch me do this so you can learn or whatever. And then you get, you know, history about them, and they're telling you about other people, and I hear about you, and it's just like I'm just nervous to even ask for a glass of water or something, and you're doing crazy shit. I'm like, this guy's the man.
I think that probably some of that comes from like I really, so like when you come into a new city, you know, I came from Detroit area, right? And I was little in Detroit, and I came to Chicago. And I knew some people from Detroit that, you know, had moved to Chicago. So I'm hitting all them up. Arturo Gomez is one of them, you know.
You knew him from Michigan?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And so Gomez was one. My buddy who used to own Motor Lounge in Detroit moved to Chicago and opened up a little bar called the Gramercy on Lincoln that doesn't exist anymore. This cat named Matt Eisler and the guy who ran Spoon, Chris Dexter, introduced from Detroit people. So I was just the same, you know, like running in. I mean, I knew I was good at DJing, but like I was running into little spots and just doing my best party. But they just, you know, I guess like they just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So it was like, you know, you move up, you move up, you move up. And when I was at like Le Passage, dude, like people weren't coming to Le Passage till 1 o'clock in the morning on other nights that I was DJing. When I DJ, they'd come in at 9 o'clock. So it became like a thing where it's like, okay, well, how much shit can you possibly talk to me? You know what I mean? Like, because the DJs are generally unappreciated, right? Like, I mean, the DJs, especially at like that particular time, and probably still, everybody's out like trying to slice each other's throat and undercut each other and get in the right spot and do the right thing. And you know, I just was really good at what I did. I was doing something that nobody else did. And when the people start showing up at 9 versus 1, that's another $20,000 in the till. And I'm not like, you know, I'm not taking 10% of that from my cut, right? So if I'm like, fuck you, I'm not playing that, or fuck you, this isn't going to happen tonight, they know that if I leave, that $20,000 is gone. So it's like when you know that you're worth the $20,000, you can talk a lot more shit than when you don't, you know? And I think a lot of times the DJs don't know that or don't pay attention to that. They just show up and they play and they do a good job and they take their money and they go home. But they're not involved in like the idea of the business. I owned bars. I owned places. I understood what the difference was. So yeah, I was a fucking asshole a little bit, but I deserved to be an asshole because I was better than anybody else in the whole city. And I'm not saying that as an asshole. Like, I'm not being egotistical. I really, truly was better than anybody else in the whole city. And whenever I moved, it went crazy. So when I left Le Passage, when Manor opened, Manor called me and they were like, this is how much we're going to pay you. And I was like, I'll be over there next Saturday. Yeah. And when I moved from one spot to the next spot, that motherfucker was packed on that Saturday. I told everybody, I'm moving over here. Let's go. And the whole place closed out. Le Passage was never the same after that.
Yeah. This is before social media. So like, how are you getting the word out to people of where you're at? It was
just people coming, bro. Like people just knew that it was like what it was. It was nuts. And like, no, you know, a lot of it has to do with how they run the door too. You know, it's like there was like, you know, people could curate a crowd at the door. I'm not saying like it's just me, all my shit, all my own. But like once you get inside, Le Passage, Underground, Manor, any club, those were the best clubs in the city. They weren't the best clubs because they opened the doors and served liquor. They were best clubs because they hired me to DJ there. And I'm telling you that is the honest to God truth. It was like that good. It was so good that anybody that I told them was good, they got a job too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's how it called Jim and ask him, dude, Jim, to call Cy, any of those dudes, like out, like, you know, they would say, who do you think is good? And I would be like, it's this guy. And right in the door. So it was a good, you know, 7 or 8 years that it was just like an unstoppable force. Like there was not one party in the city that you would, you know, want to go to. Yeah. And then we just started doing Mondays at Angels and Kings. Monday nights, dude, there was fucking 400 people waiting to get at Angels and Kings. It was crazy.
I think I remember when I was first starting to come around, I think Angels and Kings was still happening a little bit on Monday nights with Tim, I believe.
Yeah, me and Tim did it. Yeah. Yeah. That was another thing. It was like they were like, that's why I picked Monday nights, because it was like, you know, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to do something that like Tim's got his crowd, largely African-American crowd. I got this largely Caucasian crowd. What happens if we both play the exact same fucking music wherever we're playing? We get along. We have great bounce off each other. Let's try it. And it was the best crowd of all time, dude. And they wouldn't let us do that anywhere else. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so when they said, what do you want to do? They said, this is what I want to do. And most places, you know, would have said no right off the bat to anybody else. But like, we did this whole thing that never had happened before in the city, and it went off.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you're getting paid really well in Chicago.
Yeah.
And then you're going to LA. Are you just does the money not matter over there? Cause you're like,
yeah, dude, I was losing money every time I went to LA. I was making like $200 a night.
And then every other gig outside of that, you're making even more. Yeah, because
like that's what I'm saying. Like if I go out there and I play for 3 nights and I make $600 and it costs me $300 to fly out there, right? It's not a lot of money. But if I'm getting paid the same amount that they're getting paid coming from LA 3 other nights a week, who gives a shit if you lose them? What else are you going to do on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday or whatever? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was just like, it made sense fiscally to take a loss, and it's like a marketing budget, right? Like, it's like you're putting yourself in another zone, losing a couple bucks to make a couple more.
Build the brand. That's amazing. And then you also said like the same thing when you made those mixes for the interludes between Kanye and Gaga on tour, and they said they had already paid for them, but asked if they could use yours. Even though you're clearly, that you're an amazing DJ and you have full confidence in yourself and know what you should be getting paid, your worth, rather than being like, no, fuck you, like you work for Lady Gaga,
because
you better pay me.
Nobody knows that. It's not like even the people that come to the club, they don't know that. I'm not going to say that to them.
Right.
I'm telling you that because you understand what it is. I wouldn't say that to a person that was in the club. I'm the best fucking DJ in Chicago. That's an asshole thing to say. And I'm not going to tell some dude that comes up to me and asks me for mixtape, oh, you got to pay me whatever. I'm just going to do it.
Okay.
And I do it because I love, A, I love doing it, right? But B, it's like you got to put yourself out there when new situations roll around. You know what I mean? If you don't have the windshield wipers on in your car, you're not going to see shit when it's coming up. So it's like you gotta be able to move some shit out of the way, try some new things. And it's like you can't expect to get. This is where the trap of all entertainment happens. You should expect to get paid when people expect to pay you. If somebody doesn't expect to pay you, should not expect to get paid. Just do it, right? There will become a point if people asking you to do stuff where they don't expect to pay you and you do it well over and over again, somebody's going to be like, you got to pay that motherfucker to do that, right? And so, like, it's not a fast burn. People that come in and say, hey, man, I got this thing and you got to pay me X. It's like you lose every time. You don't win. You got to prove yourself over and over and over and over again. So when people say, I'm not doing that job because it's X, Y, and Z, like, it's not enough money on the table. Well, is the money that's not on the table worth the look later down the line? Can you turn that into something? Because I'll tell you shit for sure, every single song I make makes $30 fucking dollars. You know what I mean? Right now, every song that I make makes less than I would if I was working at McDonald's. But they're dope songs. And I meet dope people. People listen to them. It becomes part of their lexicon. They like the song. They want to meet me. They like me. They give me an opportunity to do something else. If I was making music for money, I would have signed off a long time ago. You know what I mean? When we stopped fucking printing CDs. So it's about, if I walk outside right now and put up a billboard out on the street that says Paul Blair, nobody's paying me to put up a billboard that says Paul Blair. I'm spending money to do that. So why wouldn't I lose money to take an opportunity to do something else, right?
Yeah.
You got to go out there and trust your instincts. You got to work hard. You got to do shit that, is exploratory and it might not have a direct path to like some monster bag. It's like you just keep showing up diligently and you'll get more and more opportunities, better opportunities, So that's anybody who's in the music business, DJ business that like can't see past the check that they're getting in their hand that moment, it's probably not going to win in a long-term, strategy play.
Yeah, that was one of my questions, that I was going to ask, because you've done so much cool stuff, all different, involved with films, theme songs.
Yeah. Real quick, the first job I ever had DJing at a club, I paid the DJ $50 to open for him. And I showed up and carried his records into the club. That's how I got on the first club that I ever did. I brought this motherfucker $50 every night because I wanted to be in, because I knew I was better than he was. And it was just a matter of time before they were like, wait, you're not getting paid anything to do this? And I was like, no. And they were like, get this motherfucker out of here. You go on, we're going to give you $100.
You paid his severance package.
Exactly. So sorry to interrupt, but I mean, like, it's a, no pun intended, you have to make a strategy to how you're going to get to where you're going to get to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, it's tough because, like, as a DJ, you're doing everything yourself, especially nowadays, right? You're making your own graphics, you're running your social media. Most of us don't have managers or agents or whatever. We're trying to be businessmen.
Yeah.
So this line between like being a creative and doing what you love and DJing in and of itself, and then like getting money and knowing your worth and getting the right money.
Yeah.
It gets blurred very often, but at the end of the day, what you're saying is the way.
Yeah.
Like, yes, get your money, but also recognize opportunities that are better than just getting a check. Don't lose something over being like, well, if you're not paying me, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I just last weekend, my buddy, I've known for 20 years, like, was like, I'm having my 50th birthday party or whatever, and would you show up and DJ? And I was like, sure. So I fucking drove to Lansing, Michigan, and played records, and drove back. He was like, what was that? I was like, I don't know. We've known each other for a long time, dude. Like, what we do, charge you? You know what I mean? So it's like, and back to what you were saying, all these guys, first of all, right now, if you're a DJ and you're not John Summit and you have a manager and an agent, that you're doing something wrong. Like, you should not have a manager. You should not need a manager. If you're making less than $500,000 a year, you do not need a manager or an agent to DJ, or to be a producer or to be an artist for that matter. Like, you're throwing your money down a fucking toilet if you have a manager or an agent and you're making less than $500,000 a year. So can that. You do have to know a little about a lot of things, right? And you have to focus on what it is that you want to do and how to grow that. So it's like kind of like seeing a landscape. Like if somebody came out to me right now and was like, I have a job for you. It's, $50,000 and you're going to be playing at the Republican National Convention, I'd be like, I think I can pull off 50 grand somewhere else that makes a little more sense. You know what I mean? Because the wrong thing for a lot of money could fuck you up for a really long time. You know what I mean? You end up in a picture with Alex Jones, like you're not getting booked at any T-Mobile parties for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm saying like knowing when to say no is just as important as knowing when to say yes. You know what I mean? But you should be saying yes more than you're saying no, especially at the beginning, to figure out what you're trying to do. So if it's like a matter of like not getting your $50 and sitting around on the fucking couch all day or trying something new, get out and try something new and don't make the $50. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's good advice.
Yeah.
And that advice, that style of life led you to the Best Night of Your Life benefit concert with Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly, Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
And you're parlaying it into another big extravagant event in Chicago, right?
Yep. Yeah, man. This is like, again, people like say like your reputation precedes you. It's like it's true. Hopefully, no, I never got fired because somebody thought I stuck bubblegum in a fucking fader. But
that's so funny.
But
I'm so mad it's not true.
Yeah. Well, I feel bad. Right now, if that was true, if you were like, man, you were drunk and you actually stuck bubblegum in a fader, I would go back and buy that motherfucker a new mixer. I feel terrible. I would feel terrible about it. But the Will thing came up. It's crazy. You meet somebody who knows somebody that has somebody else, and all of a sudden, two people that aren't even in your same state, same country, whatever, are talking about something. And one guy says to the other guy, you should talk to about this is Paul. Like, he's funny and he's a DJ and he knows something about this stuff. He seems to be passionate about it. And next thing you know, you're getting a call from Will Ferrell, And so the long story short is that, Will is arguably the funniest person on the planet. As we live and breathe today, he's probably the funniest person alive. And so he had an idea and it revolved around DJs. Somebody got in touch with me to try and explain like how that could work in a real world situation. We batted it back and forth. It didn't work, but because I I wasn't like, here's my consulting fee. Call my agent and they'll put us together. I was like, get me on the phone. Let me tell you about it. Talked about it. Didn't work. 2 years later, he calls me back again and they say, oh, we're doing this thing. We want you to hop out with the music. Like, it was really enjoyable and blah, blah, blah. So that didn't work 2 years ago, but 2 years in advance, here we are. And so we were trying to find somebody to open up for this best night of your life thing that would be like a showstopper, right? And so it was like, let's do something with this person. Let's do something with this person. Oh, they're not available. Oh, they're on tour. And arguably, last year was like the craziest time for tours. Like everybody was making crazy bank. So people were like on these monster tours getting paid like they've never gotten paid before. So it's tough to find somebody to open. And so I just said, why don't you open? And just do Boats and Hoes like live. Like I would go nuts if I saw Boats and Hoes live. That's like an amazing thing to watch.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, let's try it. As soon as we made that something that was going to happen, I don't know who said it first, but it was in a round table conversation. And they were like, why don't we get Snoop Dogg to do something? And I said, can we do a mashup of like Gin and Juice and Boats and Hoes and have everybody be each other's background dancers? And called Snoop and he was like, fuck yeah, let's do this. So that's that. Next thing I know, I'm like at a sound check with Snoop Dogg and John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell. and yeah, it was like the greatest moment of my whole entire life. I mean, that was like a crowning accomplishment in my career. It's the stuff, Prestige Worldwide and fucking Death Row in the same building was like an amazing.
That is incredible,
collabo.
dude.
Yeah.
And that you're literally DJing. That's DJing, right? That's like you picking two records. Let me put Gin and Juice with Boats and Hoes and mix them. And like you did that with real people.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
crazy.
I say that shit all the time. Like most of the stuff that I do is DJing, you know, like programming music for a hotel lobby or like having like different people together on different ideas or like coming, you know, it's all the same, draws from the same well. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So end of the day, like, yeah, it was a big, I mean, like, as I'm telling you the story right now, I'm getting excited about it. It happened a year ago. You know what I mean? Because it's like so unfathomable. If you would have sat me down like 10 years ago and be like, what would be your wildest dream / nightmare to have to do? It would be that, like, right? Like redo Boats and Hoes for, you know, a live performance with Snoop Dogg. I walked in and Will changed the stuff like on the spot. Boom. So I had to redo all the stems for it. I took the stems from like something and then it was shit quality. So I had to redo some of the drums and like replay the bass. And so I had it all in my Ableton because I knew he was going to change something. Right. And so Snoop walks in and Will was changing something. And when Snoop walked in, he thought he was going to start, you know, doing a sound check right away. And I'm up there changing something. And he looked at me. He looked at Will and he was like, are we going to do this? And Will was like, oh, Paul's working on something. And Snoop was like, looked at me. He was like, I got my DJ in the trailer if you can't get it done. I mean, like, I know Snoop, but I was like sweating. I was like, oh my God. Like Snoop's yelling at me right now. I'm trying to program this thing together. Like it was a lot. It was a high pressure thing. I was so tired by 10 o'clock at night. Like I put so much energy in the universe by 10 and probably a couple, you know, I was tired as fuck. Yeah. Huh? I was so beat, man. Like all day I was nervous as hell. Like I was freaking out. And at that stage, like I've been to some really fun parties, and it was like there were so many funny people out there. I think that funny people are the best people in the whole world. So like I'm like a kid in a candy store. It's like Joe Coy and Jason Bateman and Will Arnett and John Hamm and like all these dudes that are just like out of this world hilarious. And so I'm like, you know what I mean? Like I was like, you could put me in a room full of music people and I'm just like, whatever, dude. You know what I mean? But funny people, it's a whole different bag for me. So I was super excited to be at that thing, man. It was nuts.
You love comedy?
I do, yeah.
Who's your favorite comedian?
Oh, man. I used to have this t-shirt that had, I don't remember who made it, but it had like all these people on it. It was like Chappelle, Robin Williams, John Candy, you know what I mean? Just like from all ages, Richard Pryor, Gene Wilder, just like all these like great comedians. And the funny thing that I think about comedy is that like it's so hard. That minute that like I said when the music goes off happens to a DJ maybe like once a year, 2 years. To a comedian, it happens like once a week sometimes until you figure it out. So like that firestorm is like, man, what a crazy gamut to have to run through to get to where you're at. Because like I know people that are funny as hell that could never go up in front of a crowd. You know what I mean? And it's just like it just takes a whole nother level of dedication and fortitude to like be a funny guy in front of people, I think. So yeah, I have a deep respect for comedians.
Have you ever tried it?
No, I wouldn't dare to try that. Just out of respect for everybody who's actually good. I feel like,
Yeah.
I feel like I would.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
It's so true. Like we're up there and we have the cushion of music in front of us, and then if that shit goes out, you're frozen.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Well, dog, that like for me when I started, nobody looked at the DJ. The DJ was like in the back corner. It was like, you know what I mean? Like you were an afterthought. As long as the music was good, nobody cared what you looked like. You could be 8'8" and like, you know, 7,000 pounds and like have one eye popping out of your head. If the music was good, nobody gave a shit. But like now it's like in the center front, right? Like, so it's like in the, middle of the whole thing. Everybody knows what you look like. You got your name written everywhere, blah, blah, blah. Like I have DJ parties when I was 18. They wouldn't even put your name on the flyer. You're just happy to go do it. I guess what I'm saying is that I was so into music and so socially awkward that's like how I got. That's why I wanted a DJ. I love music, but I didn't want to talk to anybody. It's just true today, by the way. I hate going into crowds. I don't like the rigmarole of talking to people and, hey man, so good to see you. Like I have no fucking idea what your name is, but like call me sometime, whatever people say to each other. And so I'm a big fan of your work. It's like, what work? You know, like it's full of shit. This whole thing's full of shit.
Yes.
So and then also just being like elbow to elbow with people. Like you would think that I would like concerts or like, and I do. I love live music, but I want to be the only person there, like while Queen's playing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want to go to the show, right? So long story short, it's like that was like the reason, major reason I got into DJing. Like I would have never thought about rapping or like being in, whatever, dancing or something you had to be out in front of people on. It was like I was in this cute little cubby hole with my headphones on, like playing stuff, and nobody even knew what it was. That's where White Shadow came from. I DJed I was the only white motherfucker in the whole club, and people would walk by the DJ booth and be like, "Oh, it's White Shadow," because I was the only white dude there. I was stuck in the corner. So they started calling me, started putting on all the flyers. So anyway, it's a lot different. DJing has gone through so many different iterations since its invention. You know what I mean? Whatever we're doing now, like the whole like, oh shit, this guy just sold 80,000 tickets in 5 minutes and I can't even see him. You know what I mean? It's so weird to me. I mean, it's still DJing, I guess, but like there needs to be a new kind of, I don't know, AAA DJ, whatever you want to call it, some kind of elevated thing where it's like, oh, we spent $2 million in lights for this show. You know what I mean? If I had a DJ and somebody was like, we're going to spend $2 million on lights on your show, I'd be like, just give me the $2 million and I'll play I'll give me a lighter and some sparklers.
Yeah, I'll make it happen. I promise. The Party with Strategy podcast has a brand new sponsor. Make sure you guys go check out Rendezvous Limousine Services for any of your travel needs around the Midwest. It's the best you can get, top notch. Let's be honest, everyone's a little sick of buying Ubers, getting charged for Uber X's like they're black cars, and the market's just not what it used to be. You might as well go with your best bet, Rendezvous Limo Service. They got party buses, they got Sprinter vans, they got Escalades, they got Navigators. Only the best of the best. Make sure you check out Rendezvous Limousine. You can find them on Instagram at RNDZ Limo or their website, Rendezvous Limousine. If you're grammatically challenged like myself, Rendezvous is RENDEZVOUS. And we might as well do limousine as well. LIMOUSINE. Rendezvous Limousine. Best you can get anywhere you want to go in the Midwest. Airport pickups, drop-offs, party buses. Just going to see a friend. Do it in style. You know what I'm saying? Let's get back to the episode. Thank you guys for watching. I think that with, AI coming up and all that, I think that my biggest hope is that they take over, right? Everyone's kind of scared. Oh, is AI going to take over DJing? Or, they're going to be able to mix records and the cameras are going to be able to see the crowd and know exactly what they want based on their facial expressions, whatever it is. And I hope that happens. Yeah, because I hope it kind of goes away. I hope it hits a brick wall and then we get to start throwing our own parties in a warehouse or something where people are craving a human being selecting music for them.
That's my entire... That's like, I mean, like, that's the premise of like the way that I'm trying to figure things out, Like I work with a company called Soundful, which is like an incredible company, soundful.com. It's a AI music generation software, right? But it's all built from musicians writing stuff for it. So like, rather than me feeding it 800 Drake songs and being like, give me a Drake song or give me a song that sounds like Drake. These guys are like classically trained musicians that are entering information into the human information into the AI so that AI spits back more human information, right? So if I'm saying like, hey, I can enter a pack that I make. This is what my sound is. This is how I play it. This is what I think. This is how I work. Like, give me stuff that sounds like me. And if it gives me stuff that sounds like me that I don't really feel like sounds like me, maybe I haven't fed it enough information, or maybe I'm, as a human, giving it the wrong information. So let me keep giving it the information. Once it's done, I can give it to the guys, and then you can go on and say, I want a song like White Shadow, right? Pull up the song, pull a bass out, play around it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can do different stuff with it. Anyway, they're doing a contest. They just announced it today where Cascade made an AI set, I think this is correct. He made an AI set, and they want people to come in and sing and or produce along with his AI set. And he's picking one that if he likes it, he's going to co-produce it with the person who produced it and the computer, and they're going to release it on his label, which I think is crazy. That's like a wild way to do it because, it's a human computer, right? It's like a cool system. But it, like, for me, when it becomes like, I saw this thing the other day too, where it's like, here, type in your set and it's going to give you a list of songs that you should play during your set. Like, fucking quit DJing. You know what I mean? Stop immediately. Yeah. Just quit. Go back to the crib.
Yeah, that software is definitely not helping anybody. Yeah. But let's talk about some software that might.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. I'm excited about this.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm excited about this. Yes.
Tell me about SetSpace. Saif gave me a brief overview.
I'm sure it was fairly inaccurate, but let me. I'm just kidding, John. Sorry. No. All right. So I'm going to start on a somber note. So it was 2020, and I've been at this for a long time. So it was 2020, and in 2020, I know 3 guys that either overdosed or drank themselves to death that were DJs that I used to play with. And all 3 guys were competent DJs, but completely unable to balance their business with their art. And so they were living check to check, and like, who knew that the bottom was going to fall out of the universe in 2020? And so like, I'm going to these guys like memorial services, and like, I'm sitting there thinking like, you've been doing this for so long. You have this unique kind of viewpoint on the way things are and were and maybe should be. You should make something that could possibly help avoid this. And so it started off as like, why don't DJs have a union? And then I'm in a musicians union. I'm in SAG-AFTRA, and like, I have all this. Like, if I want health insurance, I can go to the union. If I, you know what I mean? Like, you can do all this stuff through the union. Why don't DJs have a union? So I started looking stuff up, and there was a DJ union in New York back in the 70s, which is crazy. But I was reading the pitfalls of it and like how it worked and when it worked, and I started talking to people, and I was put that aside. And then I was like, well, what if I can build like a healthcare thing with like maybe like a financial management tool so people can put stuff together and kind of maintain their health and well-being and also maintain their finances, do whatever. Long story short, it boiled down. I'd never made an app before. Have you ever made an app before?
I've never made an app.
It's a fucking disaster. It's so hard. It's so hard because the dudes, I got in like 2 lawsuits before I even got like people like take your money and be like, oh yeah, I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? You didn't do anything. Like I just gave you $50,000. It's worst. It's like criminal underground. It's terrible. Anyway, long story short, I got over the humps and I figured out that you kind of have to boil things down to like, what's the smallest common denominator? What's going to help the most, the fastest, and then the second fastest, the third fastest, the fourth fastest, till you can get to that point where there's some union components. So I started looking at like what DJs have and what they don't have and what they need, right? And so the first thing is there's LinkedIn for people that, you know, sell widgets at a widget company or sprinkler heads or whatever people do on LinkedIn. I don't have a LinkedIn, so I don't know. But there is nothing for DJs that contextualize what kind of DJ you are, where you're from, what you do, like how it is. There's 5,000 people that want to take your money, but there's nobody who wants to make you money when you're a DJ. Think about it. There's literally nobody that wants to make you money when you're a DJ. You are a lone wolf out on your own trying to figure it out. No context, no support, nothing. So I'm like, I want to make something that starts off as a LinkedIn for DJs. Why am I good? Why am I different? What do I look like? What do I sound like? Where have I been? Where am I going? Like that kind of vibe. So that's where it started, which sounds relatively easy, but I guarantee you that it is not easy. So coding change after coding change and Apple things and all this hullabaloo. We came up with this page and then I thought, well, I can go to Chicago from New York and never have been to Chicago before. How do I find somewhere that I want to go out? I ask somebody for their advice. I Yelp something or whatever. I don't know. Check a Facebook group, ask somebody. I don't know. I was like, why is it that people don't look for places by DJs? Because I'd rather sit in a fucking Chinese buffet and listen to good music than go to the biggest club in Chicago and have to listen to DJ McDoucherson play the same shit over and over again while somebody's charging me $1,200 for a fucking bottle. And you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So if I could find DJ X at this Chinese buffet, that's where I would want to go. And I got to believe that other people feel that way. So I then took I didn't. I had the idea to take. Someone else did it. Every profile has a locator on it, and they will tell you what DJs are in the city, where they're at, what they're doing. So I can filter, when I go to Chicago, I'm looking for hip hop, not just hip hop, backpack hip hop. I want to hear Tribe Called Quest. Where can I go? And it tells you all the DJs that are going to be playing Tribe Called Quest that night or something like it. Then I thought, well, if you can do that and show where the DJs are at, and I know I love DJ Strategy. Who does DJ Strategy love? So I can see if you're not in Chicago and you're favorite DJs in Kansas City and I pull into Kansas City, I can tell somebody that you like and I know I'm going to like him because I like DJ Strategy. So then it connects it through that way. So then how do we rate these people? People that are booking you rate you, people that are other DJs can rate you, and then the app can rate you, right? So there's 3 different ways to get rated so that you know you're getting somebody good or somebody that's trying to be good, better than whatever. We're adding booking. And when I say we're adding booking, when you get booked by an agency, how much do you get charged?
And like a DJ, like a scam artist kind of thing?
Sure.
I don't have one, so I don't know.
Yeah, but do you have any idea?
I think it's 20%.
20%. Let's call it 20%. Let's call it 10%, right? What are you paying that 10% for?
It's supposed to be
supposed to be. So I'm going to charge people whatever it costs me to do it. $10, $15. I'm going to send somebody a contract. I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to send it to you. You're going to both sign it. It's going to be legal. I'm going to connect you with their phone number. They're going to connect you with their phone number. $10. Go do your job. I don't care if you make $100,000 or $100. $10 or $1. If it's $10, whatever, 10% is, please don't charge $10 a DJ. Also, you should quit DJing if you're charging $10 to DJ. But keep working.
What if
Don't stop today.
What if you're paying $50 to DJ?
Then you don't need the app. Yeah. But like, or maybe you do. You know, I mean, like, build it out. But what I'm saying is that, like, I'm not trying to make money off somebody else making money. I want to help the DJ make money. We've just really close right now to finishing up a tipping thing where you can send people money and it doesn't cost you shit, whatever it is that the charge for the Stripe thing is, 1.7%. That's all that you got to pay. You're not paying us anything. And then there's a job board where when you're not DJing, you can do DJ adjacent things that make money. You know how many times people call me and say, hey man, can you teach my kid to DJ? Hey man, can you come over to my restaurant and tell me what kind of music I should be playing? Hey man, do you know this, and that? There's nobody posts those kind of jobs, but people pay for those kind of jobs all the time because they don't really know what they're getting. You understand what I'm saying? So what happens is you pay a couple people. If you're a business owner, you pay a couple people, you make something, whatever. Why wouldn't you pay a guy who all he does all day is care about music to come and do your music for you? Or at least make people aware of that, right? So like it's an all-in tool for the DJ to find more jobs, get paid more for the jobs that he's doing. And also, the last thing that's a component that's not done yet, it hasn't even started yet, but I plan on doing it, is once you start getting booked, once you start putting in the money that comes through, none of the money comes through our app. It goes around our app, but the numbers could go through the app. So then it can tell you how much you should be saving, what kind of opportunities you would have to put money away, where you would put that. Like, so based on your income and based on where you want to go and based on like what your expenses are that you enter, it'll tell you back what you should be saving and what you should be doing with it. That one's not quite done yet, but like, you know, I have to release version 1, version 2, version 3 or whatever at a time, but that's the overarching idea for it. But I'm doing it strictly out of like, how do we make the community better? How do we make DJs understand each other better? How do we make people understand DJs better? So from a consumer point, this is crazy. So I don't think most consumers who go listen to Spotify and you're like, I want to listen to Miguel. And you listen to your Miguel song and you let it play past your Miguel song and Spotify picks another song for you. They're getting paid to pick that song.
Like if I gave Spotify enough money, they'll play my song after Miguel's.
You know what? There's a deep, intricate web of how all of that works between the labels, between specific contracts, between specific whatever. But what I can tell you is nothing is ever on accident when it comes to music. Nothing is ever on accident. The way that you consume music, it's never on accident. When you're taking it from the radio station in 1998, somebody was walking in there and buying somebody a new van for their promo team from, you know, Oasis's squad. And next thing you know, Oasis is playing on the radio. No, I don't want Liam or Noel Gallagher after me, but like, I'm just using that as an example. But like, there's been radio promotion since radio started, and that just transfers to whatever's on the playlist. Somebody gets paid. Whatever's on next, somebody gets paid. Somebody's paying. Spotify's a $5 billion company. They're not pulling it out of thin air, and they're sure as shit not giving me any of it. So the money's coming from somewhere and going somewhere. Sorry, I don't know. I'm coughing so much. So what better way to discover new music, again, from somebody who cares about it? There's no legitimate way out there besides producing a record. You produce a record, you put the record out, people like it, it goes to a record label, they make money off it, they put it out, then people like your record, then they like you, then they want to see you DJ. I've been to Vegas not a ton of times, but I've seen some people that are making records and watch them DJ, and I'm like, yeesh, this is not where it's at.
Do you remember their names?
Yeah, I do. I absolutely do. I do. But much like the bubblegum, I'm not gonna do it. So what I'm saying is that discovering a DJ and liking a DJ for the way that they work and the way they put things together will lead you to discover music that you actually like more, and it will lead you to appreciate the guy who's playing it for you even more. Do you understand what I'm saying by that? So it's like I'm just trying to raise the social conscience of like what DJing is about. Like I don't want people to ask like what the difference between a good DJ and a bad DJ is. Like why, you know, why DJ Jazzy Jeff isn't showered in cash? You know what I mean? Like why somebody's not shooting money at that guy's house with a cannon is like beyond me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'd like to make that. I'd like to change that.
Yeah.
If not today, not change today, like at least change tomorrow and go into the future to contribute to the art. Guys that sit in their room, girls that sit in their room, in their basement, and they practice like a gymnast for a decade to go out and play for people that I don't think it's such a small amount of people that understand it. So few turntables like cross over, like Scratch Bastard's like one of them, right? Like he's a great turntablist. He's a good party thrower. He's got a good business acumen. He goes out and does his parties for himself, but he's not getting booked to play festivals. He's throwing his own parties. But I will put that dude against any DJ at EDC. Any DJ at EDC will get buried by Scratch Bastard. Do you know what I'm saying? So how do you change that context around a little bit?
That's amazing. I mean, the fact that this was born out of your love for DJing and want to help the culture, and also from people that had passed away that you think you could have helped if they had this, that's amazing. And I am excited for it.
I'm going to make it like, I want to make it so that everybody on the platform like owns a piece of it too. Like a co-op. I'm trying to figure out a bunch of stuff. I just want it to be something that changes. I suppose like as you get older, like you get a little bit more salty about things, but like I'm not salty about stuff. Like I'm not like the kind of person where it's like some new rap shit, like Sexy Red comes out and I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is terrible. I mean, it's terrible, but so was EPMD when it came out. You know what I mean? And I love EPMD. So it's like I guess what I'm saying is that like there's a lot of feelings, and you can't necessarily contextualize everybody's feelings, why they like somebody and why they don't. But I think what's happening is with the onslaught of information and available technology and like whatever, people that aren't necessarily good at DJs and that are good at self-promotion are getting to be recognized as good DJs. Does that make sense?
100%.
So I would like to get back to a point where people are actually paying attention to what the art of DJing is, so that they can discern what the difference between a good DJ and a bad DJ is.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, there's a lot of fucking clowns out there, you know?
There's a lot of clowns out there.
Yeah. And there's a lot of not clowns that need to be, you know, put back up on the pedestal a little bit.
And do you have any timeline or idea of when SetSpace would drop, you think?
Yes. It is ready. I am filling it up. So you can go to setspace.app, www.setspace.app, and put your email in, and we're going to coach like the first 200 people like into how to sign up, how to make their profile, like all that stuff. So we're there. We're going to start onboarding people and categorizing them and figuring it out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Dope. I'm excited.
Me too. It's scary and it's exciting. I mean, if I just blew all this money, I'm going to be really sad. So I better fucking work.
But it doesn't sound like you're looking to make money.
I'm not looking to make money, but I want to work.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Of course, yeah.
It's like, you know, when I pay $30 for a movie ticket, I want to go in there and look at a blank screen for 2 hours. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Movie
Yes.
can suck. At least the popcorn was good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. That I want to do more things like that, and those are the types of things that inspire me these days. It's
Well,
like
do it with me. Come by the office. Both of you guys come by the office. I'll show you what it is. Like, let's do this.
I would do anything
More
you
the
need.
merrier, baby. Let's go.
I want to have. I want to promote it on here for free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
appreciate that.
I need to take pages out of your book.
Well, come by my office. sometime in the next whatever. We'll hook it up and I'll show you the whole enchilada. There's other shit going on too that's really exciting. So
I would love to. And
Yeah.
if you got enchiladas, Diamond Cut's coming too.
yeah. Yeah, I love it. Perfect.
Sick. That's really exciting.
Yeah. I'm hyped about it.
Yeah, there's nothing like that. And like the talk of a DJ union has always been a thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, let's do a union. Oh, there's too many guys that are just going to undercut. It's never going to happen. It's not possible. When you were reading, I didn't know that there was one in New York. What? How did it fall apart? What were the
Same to what you just said.
Yeah.
So, and the thing about it is that like, you can't, what I'm wrapping up back to what I was just saying. I mean, we don't have to wrap it up, but what I'm saying before is you work and you work and you work, and that's how you show your worth, right? Like a bunch of guys walking into a room saying, you're paying us all $1,500. It's like, okay, you 3,000 people, move to the side because there's 300 other 1,000 people right behind you, and I'll figure it out, right? That just lowers the quality of things that people are hearing. It doesn't do anybody a service. So I'm not asking for a bunch of guys to get together and demand higher wages. I'm not asking for people to start talking about how much they're making so that they can all conspire to go against the club owners. I'm trying to teach you how to understand your value, how to categorize yourself as a person. When people say, what kind of DJ are you? And people say, I'm open format. It's like, what the fuck does that mean, dude? What does open format mean? That's the biggest cop out of all time. So you got a poker record you're going to play for me? Like, what are you talking about? So tell me what you play. Tell me what you like. Play what you like. Market yourself as the DJ that you like so that you like to play it, so that you're not some dude who's a hip hop DJ taking a check for $1,000 to go play EDM. You're not doing the club a favor. You're not doing the patrons a favor. You're not doing yourself a favor. Categorize yourself. Stay in your fucking lane. Do what you're do it good, and understand what the value of it is. That's when everybody starts going up. Conspiring or trying to find a shortcut around what it is, playing parties that you don't want to play because those are the parties that are in vogue. You know what I mean? Carl Cox is arguably one of the best DJs on the planet. You know who Carl Cox is, right? Mm-hmm. Carl Cox is incredible. Carl Cox played house music before it made any money. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like a big thing. He got really big. It made him money. All of a sudden, that genre fell off. Carl Cox didn't run out and try and do something different. He stayed on the horse. He kept riding the horse through the storm. On the other side of the storm, his profit quadrupled. You know what I mean? Because he took his art seriously. People that aren't taking their art seriously can go chase the dragon. I guarantee you, half of these motherfuckers that are out there playing right now, when the goes away, are gonna move right on to the next genre. When I was a kid, Jazzy Jeff, for example, Jazzy Jeff's not out there playing fucking, trance music. That'd be ridiculous, right? It's ridiculous because it's ridiculous. There's a lot of motherfuckers that are out there playing trance music that don't know shit about trance music, right? Because they saw it somewhere and they're like, oh, this Joe Blow's making money on this. I'm going to go ahead and upload a couple trance songs and hit my local high school gym for a party. I don't know what people do.
That's one of the toughest parts to me about being a DJ right now with social media is chasing trends.
Yeah.
You see someone blow up on TikTok because they did some house mashup and now they're booked in your city at your club that you've been trying to play at forever. Yeah. And so you go, let me do that, right? I can make a house mashup. I'm a dope turntablist. I can do this. I can scratch over it. He didn't even do that. Yeah. And you do that just based off of what you're seeing on TikTok, the trend that it is for social media to get the followers, to get the clout, to get into the club. Yeah. And it's poison. It's brain terrible. Poison.
Yeah. It's terrible. And again, that's back to the context thing. It's like somebody's out there doing social media and laying spread eagle on the front of a Lamborghini with $1,000 or whatever they're doing. It's not DJing.
Yes.
So it's like sticking to a crap. There's a lot of people in this game, like the DJ thing, not because they love DJing. They love money. They love being popular. They love whatever.
Yeah.
Tulum. Tulum sucks.
You don't like it? I've never been.
I'm just kidding. I've never even been to Tulum, dude.
The Tulum restaurants usually suck. So
I have no idea. I just was being an asshole. That was my bubble gum in the fader. Yeah. But yeah, no. I think that when you don't understand something, you can't do it. So
Yeah.
like it's DJing kind of falls into this thing where it's a joke. I saw some movie the other day where they were like, oh, I don't want to introduce myself to your parents because they're going to think I'm a loser because I'm a DJ. It's like, that's a punchline for movies, dating movies, or like whatever. It's like, dude, I know a lot of people that are, really great DJs that have made a really great living, and then you continue to stay true to their craft. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just on this subject, sort of like, you're an amazing DJ and you obviously fall towards playing what you love, right?
Yeah.
You got a lot of the opportunities that you got starting from playing obscure De La Soul and house tracks together. But also you said that like when you got the opportunity to have your own night, you picked a spot where you knew you could do what you want.
Yeah.
So even as a DJ, you are diverse in the way of understanding where you're at. Like, you wouldn't have done that and just played what you wanted at a spot that you knew.
Yeah. So I guess to delineate those two things, there's a difference between doing what I want, which is what I always do, and doing what I really want, which is like, I don't think anybody wants to hear but me. Right. Like, so it's like, for me, this like shooting out of the box there's different levels of shooting out of the box. Right. Like if I believe that I can do something at a club, like back in the day, like when the late Passage time, people weren't doing like, I was playing like the fucking theme song to Revenge of the Nerds and like playing shit that like nobody had ever on vinyl. You know what I mean? Like it was like, so everybody's doing something different, you know what I mean, to set themselves apart all the time. What I'm saying is like when I go to a club and I'm doing what I want, it's a rare bird, right? Like it's something that I know that like, it's actually probably past what I want. It's like what I think is going to make people be like, what the fuck is going on?
Okay.
Right.
All right. Yeah.
Right. And so I like it, but like, can I make you like this crazy shit? Like if I play Katy Perry and then play the Misfits, like who's going to stick around? Right. Like, so it's not like, there's a great scale to that, what you want. I think any DJ that's out there just downloading the top 10 and playing the top 10, that's not what you want to do, right? Like it's like, so there's levels. Yeah, you could pick. I used to get mad. I used to get mad when people would be like, "Oh, this DJ's burning me. The opener just burned me. Played all these songs, whatever." I'm like, fuck that opener. I'll play every song that opener just played and turn this motherfucker out. I don't care. You give me the same songs he just played. I'll take his Cradle records and I'll play those exact same 50 records and watch what happens. Because I know how to do it. That's what DJing is. It's not about your music selection. It's not about fucking whatever. You give me the same exact songs that opener just played and I'll turn this motherfucker upside down. So, that's what caring about music is, right?
Yeah. I was having this conversation with someone else the other day. Like when you're DJing, you're producing live.
Yeah.
Even though you don't have like some people have drum pads or whatever it is, but
Yeah.
you're using the mixer as your instrument and you're producing music live. You're creating in front of the crowd, and doing that well is what brings the energy.
That's what a good DJ does, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what a good DJ does. I've been a lot of places where somebody's playing good music. We were just somewhere in LA a couple weeks ago and we were, whatever. I don't know. It was Soho House. And the DJ was playing like a bunch of really dope shit. It was like really great music. But it wasn't like, and that's what his job probably was that night. It was just to play really good music. He wasn't trying to make anybody like lose their minds or whatever. And that's what it was for. That's what it's for. I don't know anything about that guy except for he selected really great music. But I would give that guy a chance to show me what was going on somewhere else versus some guy that just pulled the top 10 down and played, like that. So I don't know. I think everybody has a different opinion about stuff, but like, I guess like DJs talk about it. I don't think people talk to non-DJs about it. I don't think the general public is educated about how DJs talk about things.
Yeah,
and I think the DJs that do talk about it, you know, it's an ongoing theory. Like, I mean, I know DJs that aren't that good that like love it so much that like they're gonna be good someday. So like, you know what I mean? I'd let them crack away at it, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that there's a way to quantify that. I think that there's a way to quantify that. I don't think anybody's ever tried.
Yeah, I would love for your app to turn DJing from a punchline to a real,
fingers crossed, man,
a real thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it, you know, to play a part in just like the reorganization, if you will, or like a recategorization, or like some sort of like, I don't want to like use the word like reawakening, but like reappreciation, like
just like a tool. I think even if it's
yeah.
an amazing tool that someone can
Yeah.
use. I mean, you can craft people to pretty much know how to manage their bookings better, and then on top also becoming better and making more money.
Yeah.
Too. So if it's an invaluable tool at the end of the day, I mean, that's something that, like any other person working a job,
Yeah.
it makes it better.
Yeah.
Why not use
Yeah. That's the baseline for sure.
And I have hopes that it will cut out some of the local booking agents, because I'm not a huge fan of that practice, which is sort of what you get. Like, it's always kind of felt like, for the most part, DJs that never really made it start these companies so that they can exist.
Hey, man.
You know what I'm saying?
I have seen what you have seen.
Yeah. It just makes me mad because, like, they don't have so much. They never made it, so they didn't get the love from the culture that they wanted, or we feel, and you feel so strongly that you want to give back.
Yeah.
And that's what is needed.
Yeah.
You know, they're just looking for monetary gains.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a quick way around all that, I think.
That's awesome.
Connecting the dots shouldn't be worth 5% or 10%, 20% of your money. It's like, you know, there should be a network to connect the work. I don't know. Maybe that'll change lots of stuff for lots of people. I've always thought it was ridiculous that somebody could take 20% of your money, you know? Because usually when they're taking 20%, they're taking 50%, you know?
Yeah, you don't know.
So,
that was a big scandal not too recently, but Chachi was on here talking about it.
I mean, that happens all the time.
Shady businessmen.
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
just like an artist. Most of these people, if you're really good at DJing or some sort of creative thing, like you're not business minded.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
like,
yeah. Same thing with singers and rappers and, you know, flautists. You know, it's right brain people, you know,
Yeah.
don't want to deal with left brain shit.
Yeah.
Myself included. I fucking hate left brain shit. It's hard. You got to really work at it.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Is there anything else you want to touch on? Is there
No,
anything else you got going on? I mean, I know
no.
there is, but
I mean, like, listen, man, we can do this again if people have any small level of interest in me talking shit. I'm happy to come back.
I would love to do it again.
But no, I mean, I've watched you grow in your career, and I think that you're pretty great at like connecting with people and doing what you do. And I've seen you DJ. You're a great DJ, and yeah, anytime I can help with anything, man, I'm around for it.
I appreciate it.
And
Thank you
it's nice
very
to meet
much.
you. I don't know if you're a DJ or just a handsome motherfucker, but either way,
He's
you're
both.
crushing it. You're crushing it.
He's both.
You're crushing it.
And a great camera guy, live stream guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
Dope.
everything.
I love it. Jack of
integral
all
part of
trades
the
back here.
process. Yeah.
It's dope.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for watching. If you're on the YouTube, make sure you like the video, drop a little comment, subscribe to the channel, help us out any way you can, and definitely go to SetSpace.app, sign up for the future.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be good.
Hell yeah. Thank you, bro.
Thanks,
Thank you
brother.
again.
Appreciate
We'll
it.
see you again for sure.
I want to know about who said I was a self-destructive jacket.
Well, alright. Battle raps cause I've shaken grown men to the point that they can't even face their own friends. That's why they rhyme about jewels, not life, cause the ice on which they skating is so thin. That's what I love about the human soul. It'll usually show when the truth ain't told. Use a lie.